Cheryl. Have a great day.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a great week last week and a great weekend. And we're going into a new week. And I do love to do my segments when I can on Mondays because it's a great way to start the day, I think, the week, the day and the week. Because today I'm here in the morning. So good morning, you guys. And we will get started pretty soon. So say hello when you come in. I'm coming to you through StreamYard, which will ask you for your name. And that way I can see your name in the chat. So I'm going to open up the chat here. So please say hello when you come in. And today we're going to paint a cute little Valentine's Day card. I don't know if anybody caught me the other day when I came on and painted a little cute owl card. So isn't it fun to paint something like a card? You don't save the money to go and buy them. They're so expensive these days. But it's a real gift too. Don't you think it's a real gift? Let me get the comments here. It's a real gift, and people can take this and they can frame it or just hang on to it. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Cheryl. Thank you guys for being here, and welcome to my segment on Craft Around the Clock, you guys. You also find me on my Tinker's Card art page, and so welcome and good morning. I don't know why when I recorded this last time live, the video was very wonky and pixelated, so I hope today is better. But I may re-record this, so if you missed it, keep an eye on my page. It's the recording's there, but I want to do a little bit better one. So good morning, Lorraine. Thank you for watching. I buy these packs of cards. You can get them from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, those sorts of places. They are just blank cards. They come in packs of 50, so it's a great deal. And there's another use of these cards that I will share with you too, that I use a lot. Instead of hand painting them all the time, sometimes I have a painting that's in the right format, like just, rectangular format. I just simply photograph it. Have prints made up. You can do it super cheap on Snapfish or Shutterfly and those places when they run a special. And I just have a bunch of prints made up of my paintings. And then I simply take the card and I double side tape my photograph of the painting to it. I signed it on the bottom with a little mechanical pencil and in your name and title. And it's a really nice gift. Even if it's just the photograph, people love to see your artwork in your paintings. So that's why we are going to hand paint this morning. Good morning, Cindy. Yes, I know. I'm not even going to complain that it's 55 and in the 50s this past week here in Florida. So, hey, good morning, Deborah. Thanks for being here. And Judy, I'd love seeing you guys. And Barbara, hello. And you have rain. The weather's been crazy, I know, everywhere. We're warming up today to the 70s. I'm so excited. Well, maybe we might make 70, but a couple of 80-degree days too, so that's cool. It's all good. It's all good. Good morning, Sharon and Kimberly. Rose, it's good to see you. Hello from Clinton. How are things? I know you're cold back home there too. So anyways, I'm going to switch the camera around because you don't need to see me. You need to see my work. I've sketched a little penguin on here. And this is just regular paper. There are watercolors. Strathmore makes a nice watercolor card and envelope set you can buy as well, which is very nice and a little bit better surface to paint on. But you can really make this work too. So it comes with the envelopes and everything. Judy, I'm in Lakeland. Isn't that funny? I just moved down here in the fall. And I love it. It's so many cool things going on here. I love it. And good morning, Glenda. So I've simply sketched this little penguin on a card. You guys, I will try to do some tracers for these. I know I just sketch it on, but I can always make a tracer for them. If you would like a tracer, send me a message and I will get one made for you. Because this would be cute painted on something bigger too. I just kind of off the top of my head before I come on kind of think of what I want to paint. I wanted something Valentine's themed right now. And so I was just looking through little cute animals, and I've done penguins, ice skating. I've done penguins, skiing, do all kinds of cute penguins. I love penguins. So good morning, you guys. I have a great group. Thank you so much. I appreciate that you're here. You only need a few colors for these little Valentine's paintings. I've got red, white, black. You can mix up your colors too. I have a little blue out because when I have a penguin or anything that is black, animal fur, hair, I like to shade and highlight with using blue a little bit, so it's not so dull gray-y. So I'm going to incorporate some blue into my the black bits of my penguin. I've got some reference pictures here I'm going to kind of glance at. I'm going to paint a little balloon in his hand, which you can then write on. You could put be mine, be my Valentine, anything you'd like. You can use your paint, or these Signal Uniball pens are fabulous for writing on your paint, on your mixed media, anything like that. Let's see. Oh, you my table. Rose, you know what this is? This is just my painting service, and I went over to Joann's and I bought off the roll. It is like a heavy vinyl, maybe like a tablecloth material. I bought 2 pieces because I wanted my work surface when I go live to be neat, which, look, it gets all messy. I really loved it when it was brand new. There's nothing on it. I tried covering it with little placemats and papers, and I had somebody once tell me I have to have a perfectly white surface and I should put little twinkly lights and make it. I tried that once. This is what I ended up with. So look, it is like an abstract painting. It would be because I'm painting over things and edges of things. So it's really nice way to protect the table is just that it's a heavy vinyl kind of tableclothy thing, and they'll cut it for you to fit. So that's perfect. Yeah. Judy. I'm not sure, Judy, because I'm kind of new here and I'm exploring the area. So good morning, Pam and Sandy from Indiana. Yeah, Judy, it is midway between Orlando and and Tampa, right, Route 4, right there. All right, let's start painting, and we can chit chat as we go. Please post questions or comments, chat amongst yourselves. I just love the interaction. Believe it or not, that really helps us creators. If you're just putting up a comment or even simply as putting an emoji, it really does help us. So thank you for that. I'm going to stick with the pinks in the painting, but I'm going to do my little penguin. Let's see. I did not sketch. He does get a little bit of a, like, you know how their little penguin faces are. They're kind of like, got this little black bit here. So I got to put that on probably there. So even though his belly is white, I want to shade it a little bit still. So I'm going to use a little bit of watered down blue for that. Judy, the Publix is fabulous. And I went by the other day for the first time, the big Publix headquarters. Boy, what looks like a little Publix city there. It was pretty cool. The bake shop and the meat department. I mean, just these are all the buildings where the headquarters are. It was so very cool. So I'm just mixing up, and I know it's hot. I like you to see my palette too sometimes. Let me see if I can move it over a little bit. See how thin on the paper things that I do. I could get washy and do it almost like watercolor if I want to. The owl was pretty heavily painted. That wasn't really watercolor at all, except for maybe the wash of that salmon color behind. But on this guy, say for his just a little shading around the white areas, I'm just going to go really light with a wash. I can go in afterwards with a little bit of white to tone it down. You know, I can even dip into my white now. I just want to get it kind of soft in there with the blue. Unlike, my watercolor paper, I can't really move the paint around really well after. See, usually if I'm watercolor paper, I can move that around. But let's just leave that as a shadow because I can just touch that up afterwards. Kathy, yes, I just do my own sketches. Usually I always have a sketchbook handy with ideas for my future paintings. There's always, because I forget everything. So I have to sketch things. There's a big couple of paintings I've done. And I always keep a sketchbook handy. And it doesn't have to be a fine drawing. It's just your ideas, getting your ideas down. And then I also go into my Procreate on my iPad and tighten up those paintings, and I can make a nice tracer that way. So I work it on a paper, I put it into Procreate, I work on it a little more, and then I get a nice tracing, and I can size it to any size that I'm working on. Kathy, don't even worry about not having to draw. That's why I don't want people to get afraid of trying to start to paint because they can't draw or draw a straight line. It's not necessary. For instance, I teach beginner painting online here. I provide all the tracings. And so if you see me on one of these segments painting something and ask me for a tracer, I'm happy to make it. Sometimes I don't remember, or sometimes it's a quick little thing, but feel free. And it's not anything like, oh, you're not a real artist. Artists have been tracing things since Leonardo da Vinci, so don't feel bad. It's nice to draw. It's nice to work on those skills. I love to sketch in my little sketchbook, and that's a whole other thing. And maybe I'll do a segment on that when I do my travel sketching. on purpose, they're quick little sketches. They're wonky. There's no straight lines. It's a building. I don't care if there's, if it's exactly like the building, if it has 3 windows, not 5. It's wonky and it's fun. And as long as you enjoy doing it, we don't care. But be comfortable knowing that I teach in a step-by-step, slow way. This is quick on the little segments on Craft Around the Clock, a little quicker. But when you're in my class, I go very step-by-step and make sure everybody can follow along. And I'd love it if anyone here, because I know we're all crafters and artists and creators, if anyone here has the desire to paint but thinks, oh, I'm just, I can't draw, or, if you're interested and have the desire, that's all you need. I can do the rest. So good morning, Lisa Marie. So glad to see you guys here. And I'm just kind of softening the little harsh penguin shadow, but I kind of like it. A tip when you're drawing painting usually, or whatnot, or whatever you're creating, we're too close to our projects. And so we are so judgmental because we are looking at it like under a magnifying glass. Remember, when someone else is looking at your painting, they're 4 or 5 feet away. Someone's looking at your card, they're not holding it like this. Give yourself some grace and just enjoy doing it. The person getting it is going to love getting it, but it does help sometimes if I need to figure out what's get it up in front of a mirror, take a photo. But for me, painting like this and watching myself on video, it really helps me with, okay, the line doesn't look so bad as it does when I'm looking at it in person. So let's just keep going. We're going to just keep painting in. I am just using regular craft paints, just regular from the craft and hobby stores. I've got a very inexpensive, just acrylic round brush. You don't need a lot of fancy materials to get started. So don't let that be an obstacle either if you would like to get started painting. So I'm going to get a little bit of the black in here. I know that I don't want all of this to run together, but I'm going to give it where I'm stumbling over my words. Put it where I want it right now, and then I'm going to go back and add a little blue on the edges just to separate it, just to give it a little oomph. What I do to make my objects look 3-dimensional is just a little shading and a little highlighting, which you'll see me do, and it just gives the appearance of this flat 2-dimensional object to be 3-dimensional. And you can switch around. I'm going to go to a little smaller brush now. Hi, Lori. It's good to see you. I had so much fun yesterday with you guys. You guys, this is Lori Miller. She's an amazing artist. She does a lot of paint parties down here in Florida and up in Maine. She does the best parties. We had a little princess. She had a little princess party yesterday, and the little girls came in, and the little princes too. It could be little princes. Doesn't have to be girls. In their outfits, in their dresses, and she has the princesses there. And they painted little ceramic castles and princesses, and they had a blast. Lori really does it up. She gives them little gift bags with crowns and wands and rings and hot cocoa and ice cream. It was so fun. It was a great time. What a great memory to make with your kiddos. Oh, Lisa Marie. Hi, Sydney. Sydney is an amazing artist, too. Lisa Marie is another creative here, a fabulous artist, and her kids are amazing. And I'll see you later on today because we'll be meeting later. Kathy. Yes, I will. And Kathy, remind me, because send me a message, and sometimes that really reminds me, or even post on my page, because I don't mean to forget, but it all goes out of my head a lot of times. So making little eyes, something as simple as eyes. You could use the back end of your brush, just dip it in your paint, and look you've got 2 eyes right there. Simple. I did get a lot of pinks out, but I'm going to get a little bit of orange out. Their feet are goldy orange, I think. So let's just do a little bit of that for their beak and feet, and maybe a little touch of orange. Thanks, Lori. I just sketched it this second because I thought I did the owl. I was going to do a fox, and I said, you know what? I've done a lot of penguins. People love penguins. I'm trying to think. You guys might think of something. I can't think of really a cute Valentine's saying for a penguin. I was just going to put "Be My Valentine" or something, like that. But if you have any thoughts about what could be written on the balloon that would be appropriate for the little penguin would be pretty cool. Hi, Joy. All right, a little bit of the beak. I'm just mixing up some yellow and orange here to give a little bit of a yellowy orange beak. And remember, this doesn't have to just be on a little card. This could be on a little canvas, a little piece of slate. I was almost going to paint some on some glasses. It would be cute for little wine glasses for Valentine's Day, too. That would be a nice gift. Oh, Sandy's here, too. Yay. It's our party. I love it. Hi, Sandy. I have some of my peeps here from back in Clinton in Mass, where I lived. I'm in Florida now. I have some of my Florida peeps here, too. So cool. And it's a little bit, once the sketch is on there, it's a little paint by number, honestly. And then I'm painting these colors in flat. If you're on a surface and you need 2 coats, just let it dry and put another little second coat. And then with the highlighting and shading is all you need, just to make it a step up from looking like it's a colored, coloring book kind of a style. So another Sandy. Hi, Sandys. Both Sandys right at the same time. Welcome, you guys. And Debbie from Maine. Hello, Debbie. Meet Lori. Lori is from Augusta. Where are you, Debbie? You might have told me before, but I don't recall. I'm going to start painting in some of the scarf and hat and the balloon. So let's get the balloon painted in. I'm going to paint it a very light pink and then just shade it with a little bit darker shade. So let's get a light pink here and just paint that in to start. Now, paper absorbs the paint pretty quickly. And that's why I can't spread it around as much as I like. If I was painting it on canvas, I have a little time. So I'm going to paint it a flat light pink pretty much. And then I'm going to put some washes of color on, some light and dark, to give that balloon dimension so it doesn't look like just a flat piece. So watch the difference. Watch how we start with a little bit of just flat paint and just how a little highlight and a little shadow really makes it come to life. You can also add your details like the line work, some line work in his hat, her hat, whichever, and you can do it with some of the pens and the markers, the paint markers too. So if you are uncomfortable with details in writing and whatnot, do not fear, because you can paint some of those in easily with markers. The paint markers are fabulous. I don't know if you've used them a lot. You can use them for all sorts of crafts and things. So I'm going to make the little band of his knit hat. I wanted a little knit hat on my guy, my little penguin guy, in a scarf, because it seems to be cold lots of places. I'm not sure, Debbie, where Hamden is. I spend the summer in Wells, which is just, so south. I do travel up into Maine a little bit. I do love Maine. It's one of my favorite places. So we've got the little pom-pom and the little headband, but let's go a little lighter for the middle of the hat, just to mix it up a bit. I'm mixing kind of on the fly. I'm just kind of mixing on my palette here as I go. And I'll give a little texture to this knit hat afterwards. I'll still shade and highlight, and then I'll just throw a little texture with the little pen afterwards, and you can see how that works. Scarf. I'm going to go dark with the scarf. And then I'll put stripes on it, maybe with a light color and some fringe on the end. I should watch my time better, but we've got plenty of time. Let's see, it's 9:33. So you guys can relate to this. Sometimes you really want to paint or craft or whatever, and you say, oh, I just don't have the time, right? Isn't that what we all say? Hi, Mary. Another Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Look at what all the creators here do in 45 minutes. I know we've got it planned and we're speeding along, but I did a challenge not long ago that it was a challenge to paint like for 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes a day. And I thought, okay, yeah, I got 20 minutes. I even surprised myself, and I paint pretty fast at how much I could do every day. So try to set time aside for creating of any sort, and I guarantee you'll start enjoying it, doing it more. And it's so good for your well-being. Isn't it great to sit down and take time for yourself, get out of your head a little bit? Okay, so sometimes I pick a light source area. Sometimes these little illustrations, it doesn't matter, but I usually kind of pick a light source. So over here, everything will be lighter on the right side. Left will be a little darker. It just kind of gives a little bit of a cohesive look to my painting. Oh, Charlotte, the 30s. Charlotte's why am I drawing Alabama? I'm drawing a blank like my neighbor to the north here. So when I shade and highlight sometimes, I just side load my brush with the color and do it that way. Depending on what I'm doing. If I can mix the colors, I have time, I'll do them that way, mix them wet and wet. But since this is already dry, I just put it on, I will probably just wet my brush a little bit, get some of my darker pink on my brush, just on just a little part of my brush. And if I just kind of pat it out, let me do that again. I just want to side load the edge. And if I pat it out a little bit just to spread it, I can go ahead and get a shadow on my heart there. So I've got a little bit of a shadow there. I want to get a little wider. I like to start out light and soft, and then I can always go back on it. It's great. Acrylics are great. You know why? You can go back over things if you don't like them. You can add layer upon layer. And it's really pretty cool. I'm going to get a little darker maroon just to shade my scarf since that started out kind of dark. I make my own maroon. I can never find a paint that's maroon that's deep enough for me. So I just mix a tiny bit of black with my pink or my red. Super simple. In my lessons, I do teach you how to mix paint. You can start out with your primaries and mix every color under the sun. Believe it or not, as much fun as we all have, myself included, buying all the colors because it's so fun. But you don't need to. So if you have not painted and you want to start, know that you do not have to spend a fortune. You can start with just a little bit. So where I think it would be dark, under the little knot, it would be a little dark. Under his chin, perhaps, it'd be a little dark. I'm just giving it a little shadow there. So I also need to give some highlight. So let's do that now. Yeah, Lori, I've tried every one, and I adore the Liquitex. Even in Liquitex, it's still not as deep and solid. It's too transparent, all of the craft paints and acrylics I have found. And it's so simple. It's a teeny dot, right? So simple. I'm going to do the same thing with a little white now. I'm going to just give myself a little highlight here. I'm going to work a little quick because I do have time to blend that. So can you see now it's just sort of starting to look a little more 3D for us. That might need to be softened a slight bit. And then something like this, which would be a balloon or something shiny, say, if we put a couple little white highlights, over here, kind of just a little, it sort of gives it a little bit of a look of a shine. The little pom-pom, I want to just do a couple shades. Many times when I'm painting, I start darker than I want to be. I start very dark. I add a little bit of a mid-tone for this little pom-pom, say, and then I go into white, and so I have 3 values there, dark, mid-tone, and a light, and look at how that just looks like a little fluffy pom-pom thing. Okay, I'm going to give a little bit of a highlight on the top of that band, the hat band. And I know we're getting short on time. What, 9:15? No, I'm sorry. I came out at 9:15. We have more time. I was thinking I ended in quarter of. Perfect. So I showed you how I kind of loaded my brush with a little water and a little color and did a little side load. A little stroke. Sometimes you can just do it with the color. So say I'm going to put a little white highlight on the top of that little hat band. I'm going to load up with the color I used to paint the hat band. I'm going to take the white just on the brush as well. I've got both colors there. But I always want to pat it out a little bit just so I can get that to blend. And then I can simply give a little highlight, and I can do the same thing for a shadow. I went to my dark maroon I made. You always pat the brush off a little bit first. And where I want a shadow, say, could do that. And I'm still going to go on there and add a few little doodads with just the white pen. Oh, Andrea, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's get a little bit of a highlight on the scarf. So I did a little shadow where the knot is. So if I go now with a little light, the fun part about scarves is you can do stripes, you can do little designs, whatever you'd like on there. And I'm getting a lot of strokes. I've loaded that brush once and I've got all of those little highlights in. I'll go back now one more time. But you can get, quite a bit that way. This little technique for the hats and the scarves you could certainly use on little snowmen. If you want to paint little snowmen. want to get the blue highlight on my penguin. But I also need a highlight, even though little details like the beak and the feet, little details, right? Still want to give them a shadow. And I think I'll grab some of my burnt sienna for that. It's just a red-brown. I feel so organized because I bought one of those wheelie carts that everybody has for the paints, you know, the little 3-tiered wheelie cart here in a cool teal color, which kind of matches my stuff here. And so instead of having boxes of paint scattered on my table, taking up my whole big table, got them all in the little cart here. It was so cool and a great bargain because I had my eye on it. I kind of thought about it. And then I went to Michael's and they were half off, half off because they marked it up to start with, but they were $49.95, marked half price. I said $24.95, great. I grabbed it and I didn't even have a cart. So I lugged it through the whole store to the front. There's a big pile of them, of course, so didn't have to drag it around. But then right as I'm pulling it to the register, there was 3 of them all put together for $12. It's like, I should have grabbed like more. I didn't need more. I got 1, but that was a great bargain. And don't you love it when you get a bargain? Oh, Debbie, up by Bangor. Okay. Yeah, it's and Sandy, you have family in Camden. Yeah, I love Maine. Where I am, like I said, is very south, and I could go 4 hours still up the coast. So it's a lot to see along there. I have double loaded I just side loaded a little bit of that burnt sienna because I just want a little bit of shadow under his body. And sometimes you can just use common sense for these little illustrations. You don't have to, you just, I look at it and I say, okay, where would a shadow be cast? His little body's round, his little feet are underneath, we'd see a shadow. And again, that just helps it make it look more 3-dimensional. I think I'll do the shadow here on the beak and do a highlight at the top because it's rounded, right? And what's closest to us would be having a shadow. I can even do a shadow there, and then I'll go with a light color on the tips of the feet in the middle of the little beak. And before we forget, you have to have a little highlight in your eyes. I'm going to use the detail brush. You can use a toothpick. You can use a pin. But you want a little highlight. And if it's people or animals or whatnot, you just want a little highlight. This little guy's so tiny, I think we just need dots. That's all we need. Remember to make them all the same way. Like if you're doing the little eyes at, say, 1 o'clock, do the second one 1 o'clock. Don't do them googly-eyed. This little guy had bigger eyes, so I did a dot, but then I did a little comma on the other side. You can barely see it, but eyes are fun. And if you want to even just practice, we do that sometimes in my membership. We'll have a night each month where we sort of casual, we get together. We do it tonight, and I'm going to present gold leaf because we're going to use a gold leaf in our painting next week. And if you haven't used gold leaf, it is a lot of fun. It's kind of a little tricky putting it on, but it's really fun, and it adds some real gold, not real gold, but it used to be real gold, but real metallic to your paintings. So practicing eyes. So some nights we just practice eyes and things, and if you just look up or Google eyes, animal eyes, or whatever, you have a nice little something to go by, and it's kind of fun. And when you go to paint an animal, you're more familiar with the eyes, and same noses. We practiced noses right before we did our Paint Your Pet lessons. So, okay. I will get a little bit of a lighter bit, maybe some of the yellow with some white. Let's just see. Sometimes I'm not sure what I'm using. I try the color, and if it works, great. And if not, we can paint over it. So I've got a little bit of a lighter yellow for maybe the tips of the toes. I'm not even side loading. I'm just painting that on. That's just a little line. It doesn't have to all be blended. This I might blend in a little bit. I'm taking the same color, maybe just in the nose, in the center. And see, I do want to blend that. It's okay, but you might want to just soften that up a little bit. And again, you can go back because now it looks all yellow. And I'll take some of the orange that was back in there, just sort of blend it with that. I just want a little bit of a lighter bit in the, maybe even white. Let's see. Just a little bit lighter in the middle there. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm going to give them little eyebrows. You don't have to always go to the 10th degree. I always seem to okay, it's done. Oh, wait, I'm going to add this. So I always seem to go a little more. Just a couple little eyebrows on him, maybe. Just for fun. This could be done with the pen, so don't worry about I can't paint the line. And I think now to add my little touches, I want to get some white. Oh, you know what? Let's try. I want to show you this. It's a Signo Uniball. It's the only pen I have been able to find to really be opaque enough to go over my paintings and things. So you can do details with this as well as paint markers, but this really is nice. It kind of covers well. I just want to get it started. And so you could just some white. I was going to paint them with my brush, but look, if I just went with my white pen, look at how you can really see it. It's pretty cool. And I would do the same thing maybe with just to do little stripes on his scarf. See how I sort of angle them a little differently? I don't want to make them straight across. I want to make it almost look like the fabric of the scarf is, got a little bit give to it. I get a little straighter under his chin. I'm going to curve a little bit. And on this guy, I usually just do something like that. And I want to paint on my fringe because white will not show. And I could have done a little wash behind him if I want, like a blue wash too. But let's get a little bit of, fringe is pretty simple. I usually start with just dots. And again, you could just use, a little stylus, a toothpick. And I'm going to just make dots to start my fringe. And then I just go and make the little lines. Just a few little lines. When you're doing detail work like this, keep the paint super thin and use a little brush. And if paint flows better for you, and that's when you get in trouble if the paint is not fluid enough and you've got thick paint and you are trying to paint a thin line, because it's too thick, you are pressing down and dragging and pressing down, and that's why it's not you that you can't paint a thin line sometimes. It's just that you need the paint at the right consistency and you need a thin brush. And I keep wetting it down as I go because it's already drying on my palette. So I can get nice thin lines if I keep that paint thin. I'm going to leave that as the fringe. Maybe, see, here I go again. Maybe I just might put a little white dot on there as a little highlight. It just looked like it needed a little something. And you can get as fancy as you want. You could do, I've done plaid scarves. I've done like heavy stripes, thin stripes. You could do little hearts. I'm going to make I think I'm going to make this part look a little like it's knit. Do I have a little knit hat? I do. It's just mostly lines, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to just wing it. So I'm going to just make some lines. But again, see how I'm straighter in the middle, curving to the sides, following the shape of the hat, not just straight up and down. Same here. I'm going to just make them, I'm going to make them a little closer together because on the hat band, and I'm curving. I don't want to do them the same width as up here because I want you to see that that's a hat band and it's separate. And I don't know, but sometimes I think maybe if we did something like this, it kind of looks like a knit hat. I'm making just like little, what would I call them? Just little lines coming out that look like the knit fabric maybe. I mean, it might not be terribly necessary, but it's kind of cute that way. Maybe I'll do, I know, Pam, I love the detail too. So it's not difficult stuff that you're adding, but it sort of just adds to the whole thing. Like on the owl, I got like a little bit crazy with all of the little doodads. And when I did that, it was like, oh, one more. Oh, wait, one more dot, whatever, one more this or that. So it's almost like an arrow. That's what I was going to say, an arrow. It's kind of like you're putting the arrow on there. And basically now I'm just kind of making little hash marks. It's just going to indicate texture. But isn't it nice that you have the shading underneath? It helps instead of just being like you colored it in a coloring book. We did that to start, and then we gave ourselves some highlights and some shadows. And then the detail on top, it just brings it all together. Now, when this dries, I might find, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to shake you. I might find that I want to go in and deepen the shadow because I kind of lost it. So I probably will. I'll let it dry, and then you can see how I can go in and add a little bit more to that. You're welcome, Debbie. And if you have any questions, please, I'm trying to watch here the comments. And I always come back and look at them later if I miss something. But if there's anything that you want to know, I'm happy to share that with you. Actually, I have a pen here, and I could probably, since this is paper, I can just use a regular pen. It doesn't have to be a paint marker. And what's great about making your own cards, you can put your own greeting inside. Now you could hand write something, or you could get a stamp. You can find stamps with all kinds of cool greetings for cards. And what I would also do is maybe do a little something back here with your name, like you're a real card company or something. Wouldn't that be fun? I tell you, you would be surprised how appreciative people are to get a handmade something. And here's, since I'm going to make a line and I'm not using a ruler, you can, and I sketch that line so it's pretty straight. But here's a little tip when you're sketching, drawing, painting, even a line, to make it straight, and this really works. I've learned this back in commercial art days, is to look ahead. If my friend George was here this morning, George, you're probably not up yet. He was in commercial art in high school with me, and we learned this. Look ahead of where you're going. So even if it was a brush or it's a pen, I'm putting my pen or brush down here. I'm looking over here, and my brush is going to follow my eye. So it's, watch, and now I'll get a wiggly one. But anyways, it works usually. So I just look ahead of where I'm going, and you get a nice line. Honestly, another practice. It's almost Zen-like to practice some of these things, brush strokes especially. I don't have my practice sheet here, but again, with those one time a month in my membership when I get together, we get together live twice, but once it's casual, it's chatting, getting to know other people, asking questions of each other, asking questions of me, bring a painting, and if you need help with it, I'm there. And I always do a little demo. And one night I thought, okay, we're going to do brush strokes, and we're going to go do the side loading like I showed you in the one stroke, and we're going to go, and then we'll go into one stroke roses and flowers and leaves, which I love to do. We spent the whole night painting like commas and little strokes, and people loved it. And I was worked up because I wanted to make sure they got, something every minute and practice this, and they were so happy. We were so happy, just like painting little strokes all together and chit-chatting. It was such a fun time. Yeah, practice it, Pam. It's even with the paintbrush. It's crazy how it works, but you just start and just look ahead of where you're going. Honestly, it does work. I want to get the blue highlights on my penguin. I don't need to shade on him. He just needs a highlight. And if I did it white, it would be kind of dull. And if it was an animal, say there's my little dachshund, I have a little black and tan, and I paint her. If I highlight her fur with white, it looks gray and she looks old, and she's 16, so she's old. But if I highlight with a light blue, it really is nice. It's nicer. So I'm going to get myself a little light blue here, and we'll see how that works. And got a couple of blues here. I wasn't sure which would work best. It really doesn't matter. And again, I'm going to try it on there, and it might be too bright, too light, too dark. I can always adjust it. I don't always myself know until I do it and then adjust it. So don't feel like, oh, see, I never get that right. It's not you. It's just a matter of, seeing what it. And I'm almost using kind of a dry. I did a little dry, and I kind of like the way it looks. Little dry brush. There's many techniques. Dry brush is one. Wash is one. When we wash in the color. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to finish his wing. I guess I had sketched the scarf maybe to go in a different spot. So his little wing is missing. Let's fix that up. Okay, now we'll go with the blue. I'm gonna let that little bit dry. Go with some blue over here. Let's see if we just paint it like a line and then soften it. And if I work fast, sometimes I can get a little bit of a blend on the paper. The paper's a little tougher, like I say, but it's doable. So there's a little highlight. So you can see how the blue really is, I don't know, it gives it a little more something. All right. Now I'm going to just paint in the blue. His little flipper is kind of holding the balloon, so it's curved over. So I'm going to paint a little highlight just so we know how his flipper is configured. So it's got the little highlight here, and then maybe here, just to separate it from the black bit of the flipper. And I'll just go in now and fill that in. And it'll make sense in a second. I think it'll make sense in a second and I'll bring my line down a little bit on top of the flipper now too. I didn't want just to have his flipper sticking out and just a string there for no reason. I had to have him kind of holding it. So There. And I still will blend it. Oh, Fatima, good morning. I'm glad you made it. Nice to see you. Yeah, we have someone else up above that was saying it was rainy in California. My son's going out the 1st of February to Santa Cruz and San Fran, so he's excited about that. That'll be fun. So this side, can you see I've really just done a line? And that's okay. That's kind of a cool look too. I usually like to blend it a little more, so I may go and blend it a little more now, but I just like the way that looks. I might even, just because sometimes I sort of get more into a decorative look once I'm here and not worry about, is that really what it looks like? I get to more of a decorative look, and I think I might like a little blue on the edge of that. Just, I don't know, just design-wise, I like that way that looks. So I'm not always worried about, is that the way an actual penguin looks? I'm kind of using a little bit of my, just what I want to see. More intuitive kind of thing, I guess. I'm going to get more of that light blue, and I think I'm going to use a dry brush and just try to soften the line a little bit. So maybe just to soften it a tiny bit so it's not such a harsh line, although I don't mind it. And I'd love your opinions as I'm going along, because I'm doing all the talking and I'm yucking away. And if you want to just throw something in the chat, I'd love to hear your opinion. Oh, Lisa, thank you. I sometimes amaze myself, but most of the time it's just like, oh, this is super easy. And I love to share it with people and have them try, because honestly, I know it's hard to get over that. I don't think I can do it. I never painted. I flunked art in school, and I teach in a whole different way. I just get you there, honestly. And some of my students are here, and some of my members are here, so you can attest to that, you guys. Oh, Tiffany, thanks. Again, if you're painting this on canvas or wood or tin or whatnot, you'd have a little more time to blend. Or you could go strictly like a watercolor, washy technique. I just don't know sometimes. I really planned on this being more watercolory, but I kind of like the crispness of the painterly look. So I'm just going to fix that little line so it looks like maybe it's going through his little flipper. I drew myself a little line down here. I'm going to erase it right now. I don't know if I need him standing on something, but I do want to put some little hearts in the background because I want to show you how easy little hearts can be to paint. And when I tell you I go into like too much detail, I could like put little hearts on his scarf, but maybe I'll put hearts in the background. Oh, Sandy, thank you. I miss teaching in person with you guys there in Clinton. I haven't done much in person down here since I've gotten to Florida. I may look into doing some classes. But I love my online world, and it's great because I can share, and we have people from everywhere. So if you haven't put where you're from in the comments, please put where you're from. I always love to see how far away you are and who's the closest. Look, we have, it's kind of interesting to me to learn where you're from, and maybe eventually I'll remember and I'll keep asking you. But I love it if you put that in there. Oh, look I thought we had still lots of minutes. We've got 2 minutes left. Let me just show you how easy little hearts are to paint. And maybe I won't do it on here because I'm not sure. I think I want just a wash. Let me just put a little wash on where he's standing. And then if we have a second, I'll show you how quick, easy, and hearts are to do. I load my brush for this in clean water. I'm going to take a tiny bit of that light blue, maybe we're using, on the corner of my brush. And I don't want anything harsh or anything. I just want him standing maybe on a little horizon line. It's really just a little wash of color just to sort of place him. I'll put it underneath his little body so it's almost like a shadow too. We could put a little belly button on him. You know what I said about going and doing too many details. We could put a little belly button on him. And then I see this little line. I don't know if I just made it or it was from before. I can soften. I can go back with my white acrylic now and just soften up that shadow if I need to. So there we are. Sign your name, and it's a great card. It's a gift. You don't even have to give a gift. Look, you get out of buying all the gifts because you can just make a card. I will show you if you remind me next time or in the last video, or even like 1 second it takes. If you just take a brush and 2 little strokes, and you got a little heart, just like that. So you can do it with a little flat brush, which I did, or a little round brush. Little hearts sprinkled around might be cute too. And write something in the heart. I don't know what I'm going to write yet. You could personalize it or something. Oh, Evelyn, you're St. Petersburg. You're not far from me then. I'm in Lakeland. I'm going to run because it's 10. So we have Lou Bell's Hot Mess Creations, and it's never a hot mess, up next. So refresh your page. Stay tuned for all the crafters. I'll talk to you all next time. Thank you guys for being here. Love it.